story, guys. Big news! Red Wings win after pretty rough 3 of the last 4 games. Red Wings bounce back. Ville Husso returning to the net after getting thumped. Was the final score 8-3 in the prior game with Nedeljkovic in net? Wasn't super optimistic heading into this weekend, as it's a really tough schedule coming up for the Red Wings, but they managed to pull out what was, first of all, it was like a very, very tight game, which seemed to play into the Red Wings' hand, getting back to the puck management style of game that Derek Lalonde wants to play. Ville Husso in net, huge difference. This is like night and day. And I've said this a number of times, including the beginning of the year and probably in the last video and the video before that. Increasingly, you're going to see Husso take over the net from Nedeljkovic. The difference is astounding. This was a total duel. Darcy Kuemper played pretty darn well. This was a really, really tight game. It was 0-0 after the first, 1-1 after the second, and then the Red Wings score the game-winning goal, and then an empty netter as the insurance goal from, I believe it was from Larkin with the empty netter. So now the Red Wings are 5-3-2. So, I mean, I think this is really positive, the way they've bounced back. We know they've had the prior 4 games. They had one game where they let in 8 goals, 2 other games where they let in 6 and 5 goals. And that kind of offset the one game where they won 2-1 against Minnesota Wild. So this is a good type of game for the Red Wings, winning 2-1 plus an empty net insurance goal. Alexander Ovechkin got things started in the second period for Washington. There was no stopping that shot. That was a great shot, as usual, the grade 8. And I think that night was interesting because I think Mark Howe was in attendance, and this is where, did he catch Gordie Howe's like home goals record, something like that? And Mark Howe was in attendance for that. Actually, I should put the picture. I gotta find it. And you should see Mark Howe, who's like, when he played, he was like 5'11". I think when we all get older, we shrink a little bit, maybe. And then, Ovi was obviously on skates, but it looked like this monster with this little kid. Mark Howe's a legend, by the way, obviously, as is Gordie Howe, whose record he passed. So that was kind of an interesting milestone for him. But so that didn't last long, though, because then it was all Red Wings. So Lucas Raymond gets on the scoreboard again, which is great news for the Red Wings. In this game, we also saw Michael Rasmussen return, and he gets an assist on the Larkin goal. Kopp had an assist. Kopp did pretty well, I think, on the faceoff circle. I'll have to take a look at the stats for specifics, but he looked a little bit better in this game, but he's still like, well, wait, he suddenly scored. So, yeah, that was good. He was looking a lot better. Getting on the score sheet solves a lot of problems. So then he made it 2-1. Kubalik, by the way, getting his 8th assist. Does that put him at 12 points in the year? I think it might. We have to take a look at his current stats, but 8 assists in the year. I think he's got 4 goals or 5. So he might have 12 or 13 points, which makes him still part of the leading scorer. But Larkin getting his 6th on the empty netter. He seemed quite excited about that empty netter. He also got an assist on the Kopp goal. So a 2-point night for Larkin, a 2-point night for Andrew Kopp. Lucas Raymond scores again. I think that's in consecutive games, right? So you see, if you look, I didn't put up Darcy Kuemper's stats. I should pull it up. But if you look, Ville Husso, it wasn't like he had a quiet night. Even though Red Wings played a better game, in the end, Husso versus Nedeljkovic, this is like night and day, literally. And I'll actually pull up their goaltending stats as well, because I think it's just so telling. But, like 971. If you look at Kuemper, I think he was 940 in this game. So Darcy Kuemper, the Washington goalie, who was, motivated them to sign Kuemper, won a cup with Colorado, not getting a lot of credit for winning the cup with Colorado, by the way. Everyone kind of looking at him as, he was along for the ride. But I don't know. I always thought Darcy Kuemper was a very good goalie when he was healthy. He's a very good goalie. And if you look at his stats in Arizona, very good goalie. And he played like 10 or 11 games in LA Kings, before being moved to Minnesota. I think he went from Minnesota to LA and then I think Arizona. And he's just a good goalie. So I don't know. He played real well in this game. It wasn't his fault for sure. So busy weekend. They play the Islanders tomorrow. And then on Sunday, they play the New York Rangers. Looking at the matchup against the Islanders, Ilya Sorokin looking really strong. 5-3-0, 2.03 and a 936 save percentage. I keep forgetting he's 27 years old. He's been around a few years now. Varlamov been he got a win in the last game. Islanders are slowly stacking their chips under Lane Lambert. They're doing pretty good here. But the telling tale again, this does not lie. In the game, you can see it. You don't let in 6 and 8 goals in your last 2 starts. I think that's what Noah Kovac's let in. 1, 2, and 1, a 496 goals against average and an 870 save percentage. This can't last. They got to be thinking about pulling in another goalie at some point. They got Victor Bradstrom. I think he's in the AHL with Sebastian Kosa. I know Kosa went down to the ECHL for a little bit. We should actually check in on that just to see what the options are there. But this is Ville Husso's net. I just don't see, do they go back? But they got back-to-back, right? So now it's really going to be tough if Husso's playing both games. I don't see him as that type of goalie. I think he's kind of a 45 game guy. Maybe he ends up being 50, but I think in the end, he needs to rotate with someone. Like, he played well in St. Louis when you think in St. Louis, he took over for Jordan Binnington. He took that net away from a guy that won the Stanley Cup, and they're not doing so hot with Binnington. I was actually very surprised they let Husso go. So, good news for Detroit and Stevie Y. Dylan Larkin, 6 points his last 5 games. So we've seen Kubalik quiet down a little bit, but we should take a look at his stats as well. Matthew Barzal, all assists. Does he have a goal this year? I don't think so. I think he might have 10 assists and no goals. Philip Roenick, +1. That's interesting because that's a career minus guy. He had -38 last year. So any plus for Philip Roenick is really positive, despite what's been going on. But Red Wings are 5-3-2. Did you think that they would be here? I certainly wasn't sure about that. So this is getting into the 10th or 11th game now. They've played 10 games. 5-3-2 is pretty good. They're playing .600, 31 goals for, 33 goals against. So I mean, again, you start Husso, it's very different from starting Neville Kovac. Let's just take a quick look here too. I want to just take a look at the standings. So in the Atlantic, Detroit's around 5th. Florida is kind of dropping and Tampa's going up, which I just don't like what's going on in Florida, man. I'm not really surprised. They're still stacked. I mean, if you had a top coach in there, I think they're just going to be inconsistent all year. Detroit, you expect to be inconsistent, but they're knocking on, if they win the next game or they tie it, they're if they win it, they're ahead of Florida, and Florida drops. Toronto won their last game. That was a pretty good outing for them. Montreal, I think, going to be Montreal. I mean, this is the one that I think a lot of people are freaking out about. DJ Smith has got to be on the chopping block here. That seems crazy. As I predicted before, Tampa Bay moving up. Buffalo, super impressive. They 43 goals and 28 for, and then 28 against. 43 goals for, 28 against. I said that properly that time. Sorry. A differential of 15. This is no joke. Tage Thompson ripping it up. He's been playing great. They got a lot of weapons. But the guy, is there a better defenseman in the NHL than Rasmus Dahlin? And Boston, I mean, 1 loss on the season. Come on. This is nuts. 7 wins in a row for Boston. So if we look at over here, the Rangers are a 1-game losing streak. They've been kind of inconsistent, not what you would expect from them. Islanders, a 5-game winning streak. So they are not going to be easy. This is going to be a tough game tomorrow. Who do they start? If they start Nokova, it could be a kind of a rough game. But, I think you got the team that's crazy, which maybe it all started with that game against Detroit, is New Jersey. New Jersey did they beat the Oilers last night 4-3? I think they did, and I think they did in regulation. Let's just check. 4-3. Yeah. So, I don't know. These are not going to be easy games. Islanders playing great. Maybe a little inconsistent here from the Rangers, but I think they're facing really tough competition that maybe they didn't expect. So, tough weekend ahead. And if we just take another quick look at something, I just wanted to look at Kubalik. Well, let's just look at the Red Wings scoring overall. I had a D in Larkin. Oops, sorry about that. So 13 points on the season. in 10 games for Larkin. He's now the leading scorer, 12 points for Kubalik. So Larkin's been playing great. They've got to get this guy signed. He's asking for Matthew Barzal money. I kind of think you got to give it to him. He's playing way better than I would have ever anticipated. David Perron, he's up and down offensively, but overall, he's there every game and plays real well. It was good to get Rasmussen back last game. Adam Ernie's been playing very well for them. In the absence of Oscar Sundqvist, who's played great, and now you got Lucas Raymond heating up. You had a really good game from Andrew Cobb. These are all good news stories for a team that's missing so many guys. Elmer Soderblom, I think, is struggling a little bit. I would not be shocked to see him go down to the AHL to get some of his confidence back. Bring back Giovanni Smith. I thought he was pretty good. And I don't know if – I'm curious if Jonathan Bergeron – let's see if we can get him to come up. And Bergeron – no, he's back. All right, so 4 games, 3 goals, 1 assist. Maybe it's time to bring up Jonathan Bergeron. I mean, he had a real good camp. I think he's very capable of playing in the NHL. Matt Luff is already up, so maybe they don't want to pull another guy up. Simon Edmondson doing pretty decent. I think he's, he had a really hot start offensively, kind of cooled off since the first 2 games. Cross Hannes, wow. Cross Hannes had a very good camp, guys, and I thought he was real good. Never know. Maybe you'll see him come up. But I think Bergen's got to be first in line there. Victor Bradstrom, these are not amazing numbers. So it looks like I think Kosa went back down. Is he in the ECHL? Yep, he's been playing the ECHL again. I think he went down and up. So some options there. I don't know if this is going to, it's not like they have amazing goaltending in the AHL right now. And the heir apparent Sebastian Kosa looks like he's a ways away. If he's playing in the ECHL, that's a couple years away from. They're going to want to get him to the AHL and then the NHL. Although, as much as he had a good camp, that's just the reality. So I would not be shocked to see Elmer Soderblom get a stint in the AHL, bring up Jonathan Bergeron or Cross Hannes. Wouldn't shock me at all. And then, I don't know, you've got to do something about Nedeljkovic. Is there a trade out there? Is there a goalie on the block I'm not thinking of? I would be very surprised if this does not become the topic of conversation. So big week ahead. We will check in with you with a live on Monday in the morning to recap Detroit versus New York Islanders and Detroit versus New York Rangers. Have a wonderful weekend, Hockey Nation fans and Detroit Red Wing fans, and we will see you on Monday.